friends, today we're talking about begonias. There's a lot of different variations of them and I have quite a few. I just wanted to talk to you guys about them because they are one of my favorite plants. This one right here, you can't even see all of it inside of the camera right now because it's massive. This is an elephant ear begonia. And when I first got this plant, it only had 4 leaves on it, and now it's got multiple stems and it's absolutely massive and it just keeps going and keeps going. We're gonna propagate this guy today because he's getting a little too tall and I want to make him bushier, so we're gonna work on that. This is my Begonia Rex. It was kind of a rescue plant situation. I found it in Home Depot or Lowe's, one of the two, and it just looked nasty. And then what I ended up doing is taking pity on it, pinching back the leaves that were really disgusting, which was all of them except for this one. And they all just like sprung back, and it even has new growth underneath right now. It's popping up, well, it's 1, 2, 3 new leaves right now. Again, one of my favorite plants, probably because of the transformation that I've seen in it, but the Begonia Rex, there's tons and tons and tons of different varieties of this. This is another super cool looking plant, kind of morbid looking almost. It's like black with these like blood red spots on it. I'm hoping that the leaves on this one will get just about as big as this one. We'll see what happens because I've never owned this variation. This one is a Begonia Maculata and it's so pretty. Look at these wings. Look at the polka dots on that. It's so cute. I found this at a grocery store and it wasn't looking so hot. You can see some of the leaves on the bottom are not doing as well, but it has been growing really well. It was only about half this height when I first bought it. And this one is a variation that has pink polka dots. So I'll show you that one up close. We've got quite a few things that we need to accomplish today, so let's get to it. I've got my little tray here. This guy has gotten so big and happy that it's kind of to the point where I need to put it in a bigger pot because it's drying out too quickly. So I'm gonna very carefully repot this. These stems are a little bit more fragile than the other variations of begonia. And so I'm a little nervous that something's gonna break. But if it does, no worries. It'll just stimulate new growth with the plant. But look at the back of this. Isn't that cool? Yeah, it looks like skin with veins. Yuck, but also cool. I think I'm going to repot this guy into this pot. There was a plant in here before, so I'm gonna like wash it out really quick just to make sure there's no other plant residue. And then we're gonna transfer him over here. This plant has been in here for a long time. So I might need like a spoon or something to kind of help get him out. So I'm just gonna try and loosen up down inside to lift him out because, oh, that worked. Okay, well, I made a huge mess on the counter, but this guy is now happily in his new pot. We've been watered, there were no casualties. Good times. So this guy's done. This plant is actually, if you can see, growing out of the bottom of its pot. I got this in a nursery a while ago and it actually developed this like fungus on its leaves. With begonias, you want to be really careful that you don't get water all over the leaves when you're watering them because they are prone to like fungus, which is super weird. But what I ended up doing to this plant, I tried treating it, nothing really worked. And so I cut all of the stems back until like they were just like nubs and it grew back. So this plant actually used to be like quite a bit taller. But I'm happy with the fact that it like has grown back so well. So we'll actually move it into this pot. It's just a tiny bit bigger. Look at those pretty roots. All right, there we are, repotted. I know a lot of people actually bottom water their begonias in order to avoid getting any kind of like fungus issues. This plant seems to be doing well. I don't think there's anything that I really need to do with it right now. It'll probably be quite some time before it needs to be repotted. This one, however, not actually inside of this pot yet. I've been waiting to repot it, but it is starting to get some roots growing out of the bottom, so we're gonna move it over. Looks good, looks happy. I just want to plant it a little bit deeper. It's inevitable when I do this, my entire counter is just like covered in dirt. All right, this one is repotted. The nice thing is that now I have these taken care of. It will be a while before I have to repot them again. I just kind of keep an eye on them if they're like sucking up their water really quickly, or if the roots are starting to come out of the bottom of the pot. It's probably a good indicator that it needs to be moved up a size. Now, the last thing that I wanted to talk about with begonias is propagation, because you know I love making baby plants. So these two plants, I really have not had luck. I know in theory what you're supposed to do is remove a leaf at the stem, and then you make little cuts along these major veins, and then just press it against wet soil and just keep the soil damp, and it should grow into the soil, and then you'll get a new plant from that. I actually tried it with the cuttings from this plant, the original like crappy leaves, and it did not work for me. I haven't tried it with this little plant yet. I do need to try it again because it would be fun to just, I really like propagation, it's fun. So I need to do a little bit more research on that. For these varieties with these like stronger stems, these more trunk-like stems, it's a lot easier to propagate. It's stupid easy to propagate actually. So I'm actually gonna do that with this plant right here right now. So I'll show you how I do that. So as you can tell, this thing is massive. There are several stems. Here, we'll give it a little twirl. This is kind of like the back of the plant here. There are several stems and they're all just kind of like growing crazy. I cannot believe how fast this plant has grown. I've only had it for, I think probably close to 6 months, and this is how much it's grown already. But these two stems right here are growing really tall, and they're not growing as strong as I would like them to. For example, this stem right here in the back, this one, look how sturdy that is. So my goal is to get these other stems to be as strong. I'm just gonna propagate them. It's super easy to propagate begonias. So you want some clean scissors or pruning shears. So what I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna cut this right about here. Just right above this right here is a node, this little like chunky portion, and then a leaf is coming out right here. So if I snap right here, oh, it's so painful every time. But what will happen is it'll force new growth from this node. So that's what I did right here. You can kind of see I propagated previously right here. I cut right above the node, the tip of it, kind of like, so this top little bit right here will just fall off and leave this little line where the node is, so right here. And then a new growth came out of the side. So that's what's gonna happen right here. So with this branch, I'm gonna root this branch from this node right here. Begonias are kind of nuts. They will grow roots just like out of all parts of the stem, but I do like to get the node in the bottom. So I just snipped off that tiny little part right there towards the bottom, and I'm gonna cut off this pretty leaf, oops. But the reason for that is so that I can stick this in some water. This one right here kind of grew crazy. So I'm gonna do like some extreme, a little more extreme clipping on this one. It's gonna hurt, but long term, your plant will look better for it. Woo! All right, I don't know if you can see. This right here. That's where I just cut that off from. So I've got this big branch. It was growing kind of sideways. So I'm gonna snip this here. And this is going to be a new plant. Okay, so here's some propagations. This is just 2 stems, by the way. And then this guy, I bet I can propagate this little stem too. This weird little thing. So technically this right here is the bottom. You can actually see right here where a new leaf would grow out from. So I'm going to snip off these 2. I'm gonna leave this top leaf because it still needs to be able to absorb sunlight. And we're gonna propagate this. I think I almost wanna get a wider mouthed vessel for this one. We're gonna use this. Fun fact for you. Propagating, it goes a lot faster when the roots are in an opaque container. I don't know why, but it's true. The ones in these containers will grow faster than the ones in see-through. But since the mouth of this one works a little bit better for our purposes, this is gonna be fine. And honestly, the rest of this begonia looks fine to me. I don't really wanna make any other cuts right now. Once these root, I'll plant them down and look how much it fills out the center of this plant. So propagation is really the key to like making your plants look bushier if that's the look that you're going for. See, look at that. That'll be so pretty. Just takes time. Your plants aren't gonna look amazing all of the time. And that's okay. So these, I'm actually going to put in my window so that they get plenty of sunlight and they can grow their roots. I love begonias. If you have the chance to pick one up and you've wanted one, get one. They're awesome. And they're just so pretty. I love the leaves on them. And the polka dots, obviously. I'm definitely not an expert. I just really love these plants. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Of course, thank you for being here. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and consider subscribing to my channel. I put out new videos every Wednesday. Bye!